Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Beyonders from Mission Start Podcast, and we have an episode of the Conover. It's been a while since we had another one, but we're back, and we have actually a guest with us today. Joining me for today's Conover podcast is Henry.
Hello, hello. Joining you guys here from the East Coast. Probably the only one from the East Coast to this mission start.
Yes. We sent Henry to go cover the Otakon convention out in the East Coast, which I believe still was in Baltimore, correct?
Yep, this was the last year in Baltimore. Next year it'll be in D.C.
Ah, the farewell convention for Baltimore. Okay. Oh, cool. So for those who don't know, Otakon is usually held every year in Baltimore, Maryland, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And next year, it's going to be moved to the Washington, D.C. Did it say which convention center or which building?
It'll be the main D.C. Convention Center. I did some research on it. It's literally a mile from the White House.
Oh, wow.
So
That's crazy.
so it's pretty. It's going to give it a little bit of a stuffy feeling to it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
In Baltimore, it's in the Inner Harbor, so for those who haven't been in that area, it's basically a picturesque kind of old school harbor that is now a tourist attraction, and there's like a memorial there to the War of 1812. That's partially where we get our national anthem from. But other than that, it's basically little restaurants, downtown financial district for Baltimore, and then the convention center with tons of hotels, and also there's the baseball and football stadium right next door. And when I was driving in on Thursday, both games were on, and it was just like a sea of people trying to get through all that traffic.
Nice.
Yeah.
So since this was last year at Baltimore, what are some of the things that they what they had planned for the convention? Like, did they had like some sort of like kind of ceremonial like farewell video for the convention as it's leaving for next year, or was there anything special about this year's Otakon?
There really wasn't, other than just kind of a very bittersweet kind of sentiment. Now, I wouldn't know whether they had a video like that or not, or if they did anything special, because I usually don't stay for the ending kind of stuff, which usually happens on Sunday at like 3 p.m. when everybody's already gone, and they usually hold a panel for feedback. But usually only people who are really salty about something happening will show up there, so it's not really a kind of like happy-go-lucky type of event. It's more of a let's get the people who need to complain out so we can kind of deal with it. However, just in the general kind of feel of it, it was very bittersweet because this has been in Baltimore for 17 years.
Wow,
Most of
17.
the people, yeah, it's since 1999. And back then, that convention was 5,000 people. They didn't even book the whole convention center. They were basically in just like the main building, and I don't think they even opened up the third floor for Otakon yet. And in recent years, it's been a completely different story. They had to increase the price on purpose just so that they could lower the attendance, because 3 years ago it was just like packed. Like you couldn't go anywhere. I think it was more than 30,000 people showed up, and all the halls were packed with people coming and going. It was definitely much calmer this year, but I feel like that's both more of a better organized event, as well as the fact that there were less attendees. But in general, the mood was kind of like, oh, shucks, we really don't want to have to relearn a new city. Everybody is just so used to Baltimore.
Right, yeah. And I can imagine so for being there for so long that, all the usual spots to go to or, were there at the time, might have moved on. Or generally, it's always, the go-to places or, your you don't have to worry about getting lost or whatnot. So I can imagine for some people it's like nah, I don't really want to relearn stuff, but it's a big convention, more people are coming, so it's bound to happen. Um, so with that being said, for this year's Otakon, what were some of the things you were able to check out this year?
So I usually check out the dealer room. I try to make it to the AMV contest, although this year I wasn't able to. Um, I try to go to as many photo shoot meetups as I can. Um, and I definitely check out the rave every year because I go to raves outside of anime conventions, but when they're holding one at an anime convention, I love going because just everybody's costumes and whatnot are so much better, and a lot of people, you just see a lot of wacky stuff going on in terms of who you see dancing with whom, like in terms of, like you might see just like a very weird pairing, like I'm trying to think of something, but like you'll have something like Princess Peach dancing with like, uh, you know, somebody from Halo or something like that.
Yeah,
So
Master Chief and Princess Peach. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there are definitely times, and I haven't been to an anime convention rave in a long time, but there are different times when I've been there. Like, there are some things you look over and like it is completely hilarious as far as like what's going on. Whether it be like a guy dressed up as Mario dancing with somebody who's like from another anime and just like doing the most goofy ass shit you can possibly think of. Cause like, hey, we're all nerds. We don't know how to dance. Not all of us, but like there are definitely some who know how to dance. But like there are definitely times I look over and like they are just doing whatever. But they're having fun though. So it's all good and fun.
Yeah, so the cool thing about Baltimore is you've got like a lot of people who are in the rave scene there anyway, and they like to go to the Otakon rave sometimes. It gives them an excuse to dance and to dress up and to just kind of be themselves for a weekend. Plus, when you consider the price, it's like $50 a rave for the Friday and the Saturday one, and a regular rave might be up to that much, maybe for like New Year's or Halloween or something. And festivals are way more than that anyway, so they're used to spending money on those kinds of things anyway.
Mm,
Uh,
mm. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I definitely seen some crossover between people who go to raves and people who go to anime conventions. Especially with the friends I've been making recently too. It's like, oh hey, you do both, or like, hey, you have one interest that crosses with another. It's like that's pretty cool. So yeah, I could definitely see that appeal for sure. The so what were some of the other things you managed to check out when you were there? You say you checked out the anime music video room.
um, I actually couldn't make it this year, mainly because other things overlapped, and it's a 2-hour thing. You actually have to sit there in the room for 2 hours and watch the whole thing through, and then vote at the end.
Mm.
Um, but but I talked to a few people that went, and it went great every year. It's probably one of the most well-managed things you could possibly go to at Otakon because the gophers, the people that line everybody up, do a really good job, and they make sure there's no like spaces between the seats and whatnot, and it's kind of not a mess basically.
Nice.
Um, so that's always a great thing to do, and I would definitely recommend people check out, the usual anime music video forums and whatnot to see who won and to see the winners' videos. I think animemusicvideo.org usually does that in their forum.
Are they still around?
Oh yeah, they are. I
Hmm.
think they finally are able to host videos. I think
Oh
maybe.
wow. It's funny because I remember them way back in the day when I
Yeah.
was making music videos back in the heydays and always go on that website. That's pretty cool that they're still around. That's pretty awesome. Okay, that's cool. Any particular videos that they told you about that you should go check out after they seen it, or?
Not really. We didn't go into that much detail. Plus, trying to explain an anime music video without actually looking at it is very difficult.
Right,
Um,
right.
the most of the stuff that I went to was like photo shoots, which I'm gonna post a gallery of that, and people should definitely check that out. It was really hot. That's one thing I definitely want to mention this time. It was 98 degrees out every day. It
Oof.
didn't rain at all during the con, and it felt like it was 111 degrees out, like according to weather.com or whatever. So no matter what, I just got to give props to all the cosplayers that went out into that heat and actually dealt with it, because I was out there doing photography, so I didn't actually even need to wear anything special, and I was drenched just with a t-shirt and shorts. Like, I literally did not want to be outside. And when I went to the Naruto shoot, my roommate actually was cosplaying in the Naruto shoot,
Mm.
and he was there, recording with this crazy 4K camera that he schlepped all the way from California. Um, and we were just all like dying at the end of that shoot. I know that a lot of the shoots actually moved indoors for their shoot, like the One Piece Saturday night shoot did that,
Mm.
uh, and it was mainly because of the heat. And they got rid of a lot of kind of good cosplay spots because of construction. Specifically the fountains. Anybody that goes to Otakon knows exactly what I'm talking about. The fountains uh, right next to the convention center where people used to do cosplay photography all the time. They're now shut down and closed. And I believe it was a public safety issue. They didn't want people bathing in the water, which they did. And it was just like
Really?
very, very disgusting water. Yeah.
Huh.
And I know at the Otakon I was at 2 years ago, somebody put like soap in it or something, and it made like bubbles.
Oh.
And I think they were trying to make it cool for their cosplay or whatever their character was, but it was a dick thing to do, because I know that afterwards the city had trouble cleaning it up.
Wow.
uh,
I was gonna ask. So I was gonna ask, like, now in I've been to, I haven't been to Baltimore, but I've been to Washington, and in Washington it was very humid. Was that the same case in Baltimore?
Yeah, anybody that lives on the East Coast knows that we got the air coming up from Florida in the summer, all summer long. We get extremely hot, humid air pretty much all the time. I live in Philadelphia, and I talked to my friends, and they said that the temperature was basically exactly the same that whole weekend, and it was just disgusting. No one wanted to go outside. Pokemon was a fad at the time, and I mean, it still is, but it's kind of dying down now. Um, yeah, everybody was playing a lot of Pokemon during that whole weekend.
I can imagine so. Yeah, that's. I mean, the heat and humidity and 90 degrees, that does not sound fun at all. But since you were on the topic of Pokemon Go, now, how how many people had their phones out for Pokemon Go, just out of curiosity? Like, if you were to give like a broad spectrum of like how much percentage of the time do you see that happening?
So it was definitely a minority of people. Like, it wasn't more than 50% by any means, but it was definitely more than normal. Like I remember the first few days of Pokemon when it like started coming out and became a fad. Like, you would literally see like every single person outside playing on their phone, playing Pokemon. Like, even like the non-nerdy people would just be screwing around with it.
Hmm.
um, and it was like more than 50% out on a regular street. But this weekend, it wasn't like that. Most people were like had stuff to do. Like, they were either trying to get somewhere or do something. So it was mostly like people incidentally just playing when they can, like when they're tired and they're just sitting down, or no, like there weren't people there just playing Pokemon for the sake of playing Pokemon, which is, I think, a good sign, because why would you go to a con and spend all day playing Pokemon? Like, and I don't mean like the actual games in the game room. I mean like running around playing Pokemon Go. Like, that's something you do outside of the con.
Right,
Um,
right.
I definitely did play it just incidentally, and I caught a bunch of rare stuff because there were so many people playing. Like, it was still fun. Like, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
I just don't want people to think that, 25,000 people showed up to Otakon and we all played Pokemon the whole weekend. Like,
Right, no, I definitely know the feeling. It's just like when Pokemon Go launched, it was just as huge as it was back then with the phenomenon, and people were playing Pokemon Go on the phones, and you could definitely tell if they were just by looking at them. Um, but yeah, like especially for these conventions, like it's gonna be huge. People are gonna be in cosplay. People are gonna be using or playing the game, during their downtime in case hey, one gets bored. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised per se. Um, okay.
What was weird was my roommates weren't playing the game at all, and they flew in from Cali to go to Otakon specifically. And they're
Hmm.
kind of like really hardcore cosplayers. We had like a body painter in our room doing one of their costumes, and most people will do like one or two costumes in a con. These guys came in straight up like with five or six costumes each, and then literally tried to make like maybe like 10 different gatherings over the course of the whole con, and it was just impressive to me, like because I don't go anywhere near that far. For me it's like a people watching event more than like participation.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I definitely had I definitely have some friends who definitely have brought a lot of costumes for a 3-4 day convention. I think the most. I have a friend who is she definitely helps out when it comes to boobs in terms of like cosplaying. I remember on average or like the most I've seen, I think she brought was like 10 for a convention one weekend. It was crazy. Like there's definitely some people I know that bring lots and lots of costumes for a 3 day or 4 day event, which is nuts. But they manage to do
Yeah.
it. Um, so speaking of photo shoots and gatherings, any particular gatherings you checked out over at Otakon?
The main one that I was at was the Naruto shoot in on Saturday,
Hmm.
and I honestly tried to make it to the One Piece shoot as well,
Hmm.
but then I found out that they moved venues, and by the time I found out, it was like too late. So missed that one. But in general, I also checked out the Borderlands shoot.
Oh, cool.
Um, it was I think on Saturday as well. And in general, I just walked around and took pictures of everybody, and I was also in the dealer room before they even opened to the general public, um, and that was really cool. Just walking around when it's empty before everybody just tears it apart.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, with the size of Otakon, yeah, it'd just like be a mad dash to get in. It's like, hey, free
You
service.
would think so. You would think so. And I was there when the doors opened, and I wanted to, get that on tape, and I recorded it, and it was just the most completely like bored looking bunch of people walking in at the very beginning, like there was no mad dash whatsoever. Like I wanted to see the mad dash. I wanted to make a gif of it or something,
So
but nope.
was it just like the slowest Hunger Games, just like entrance ever?
Yeah, it was just like a very just like relaxed bunch of people walking in, and I thought it was just maybe the front crowd was just like, you know, friends of staff who didn't really care, and they were just like whatever. So I stood there for like 20 more, like I don't know, a minute or two more, and waited for the kind of the general line. But
Mhm.
no, they were all really calm. It actually was really weird because it started to get crazy like half an hour later when all the people at the back of the line finally could get in. I guess they were antsy, but I don't know. It wasn't like Comic Con San Diego at all.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Comic Con is a whole different beast. Which, if you guys haven't
Sure.
listened to, go check out a previous episode of the Conover on. Okay, cool, cool. So, as a person, as you were walking around, checking everything out, what were any particular cosplays that stood out to you that weekend?
Overwatch was very well overrepresented. I believe that's the
Really?
fad this year.
Huh.
Um, well, you've got the diva cosplays,
Hmm.
but in general, there were actually a lot of really good, just other characters, other heroes from Overwatch,
Nice, nice.
and and I definitely saw a few really good ones. Um, I forget the character. It's the character with the hook that I took
Oh,
a picture of. That
yeah,
was the
it's
best, in my
Roadhog.
opinion. Yes, Roadhog. And I actually play Overwatch, so I should have absolutely no excuse for screwing this one up, but
Right,
alas.
right. Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm kind of so I'm not surprised per se, but like when it comes to Overwatch, I feel like it's really popular, but not enough cosplayers cosplay. Only because I feel like the difficulty of making some of the cosplays are pretty. I won't say difficult, but like to get them precise, um, is still a pretty hard thing to pull off. Um,
Yeah, I totally agree. The costumes are somewhat complex, but the divas, some of them you can just buy a bodysuit that's just like already
yeah.
made. And at that point, it's just like get you the gun and those kind of like bunny ear things or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really expect anyone to show up in a mech.
Not yet. There will be
although,
somebody.
although I did see someone walking around in a Borderlands, one of those like yellow robots, the typical
Oh
enemy in
yeah.
Borderlands. Somebody made like a perfect copy of it, and they're just standing inside this cardboard thing, walking around in it, and it looked like just like incredible to me. Uh,
Nice.
yeah. Otakon definitely attracts a lot of the perfectionists and the really good cosplayers. It's almost like to a fault, because a lot of them will just show up and be wearing something that's like for winter, and again, it's 98 degrees outside, and you're just seeing them sweating, and at that point, you're just like, stop, you're gonna get heat stroke. Like, relax.
Yeah, yeah.
You like hand
I
them
know
a
that
bottle of
feeling.
water.
Yeah, I know that feeling because like there are definitely times where when I cosplay sometimes, like I kind of like really want to cosplay this character, but I know it's like really hot or it's really cold, and I'm like I'm gonna do it anyways, and like I bear with it later on, but like yeah, I know that feeling that cosplayers will still do it because hey, they've worked that many hours to get that costume done, and they're gonna wear it no matter what.
Yeah. Well, on Friday, I did actually dress up as a Stargate uniform, like Stargate SG-1. Just kind of, I just basically have an Air Force jacket with a patch for Stargate on it. Um,
Nice.
and that was hot. Like, I went to the dealer room in that, like, when they were letting us in before the general public could get in.
Mhm.
Um, but even that, I was just hot. Like, even in the AC of the dealer room, which was actually really cold with no one in there, even that was just, like, too much.
Oh wow. Was
So yeah.
I was gonna ask like so was AC powering through the convention or was it like there were so many people in the convention center that it didn't really matter?
No, actually, these are really high ceilings. Like, we're talking like 100-foot high ceilings. So it's industrial ACs. It's good. It's fine. Like, it doesn't get too hot for the most part. Um, and actually, you could feel the difference when you walk out from on the third floor of the convention center. There's a balcony, and that's where the Naruto meetup was. And when you walk in back into the convention center through the doors, you can literally feel like a 30-degree difference immediately as you walk in. And if you could literally just stand there right under the AC and just like get sick, basically. But no, it's actually really good. I would say that for the most part, it was just having to go and get food, or having to go back to the hotel, or just like walking around outside was just horrible, and you just didn't want to do it. Um,
Was the distance between the convention center and the hotel and food wise far or was it?
so I was close because I was not that far away. It was only a block away, and the three main hotels, I believe it's the Hilton, the Hyatt, and there's one other one. I think that's where the staff are. They're right next to each other, almost like one is on the left of the convention and one is on the right of the convention center. And then, again, it's the financial district of Baltimore, so there's tons of hotels within 5 blocks. It's just that there's all these other hotels that are 5 blocks away, 6 blocks away, where people are actually taking the bus to get to the convention center and back, or they might just walk all the way because it's a mile and a half, so it's not like difficult. It's a 30-minute walk. Some people are going to do it. Um, so it's not too bad depending on where you are, but it can be if you're far away So it just really depends. And also, it really, like, a lot of people have different philosophies on food when they go to things like this. Like, I used to go to, like, really nice sushi restaurants, or, like, there's a really nice ramen place not too far from the convention center. But now I'm just kind of like, let me just go to Subway and get, like, a $6 hoagie and move on with my life, because when you go to these sushi places, it'll be like an hour-long wait, and you might not even get seated right away, just
Oh wow.
mainly because it's just a bunch of people that want Japanese food all in one spot for that weekend. So you're basically competing with other con-goers for anything food-wise. My roommates would get Grubhub delivered
Oh,
to
nice,
the
nice,
hotel
smart,
room.
smart.
Yeah, but that would still be like an hour-long wait, for just like really shitty Chinese food.
Wow. Funny, funny.
um, yeah. I would just get Subway because it was just like they actually have five like 24/7 Subways in that one spot of
No
Baltimore.
way. There is?
Yeah, yeah, because it's the financial district. So actually, that area of the city doesn't really sleep, because 3 blocks away from the convention center is a strip club with like a kind of a red light district of Baltimore, and it's kind of
Oh.
shady there. So I don't really expect a lot of otaku nerds to go there, but
Right, right. Definitely, definitely. Okay.
uh,
I did not know I did not know a 24/7 subway existed.
oh yeah, they got them in Baltimore.
I'm jealous. Awesome. All right. So, what were some other things you managed to check out? Like, how did you check out, like the game room, or did you check out anything else you were there at Otakon?
Yeah, I checked out the game room, but I just walked around kind of and didn't really have time to come back. But I actually have a real life friend who won the Pokken tournament at Otakon.
Oh,
And I don't
cool.
know, for anyone that doesn't know, Pokken is a Pokemon fighter game.
It
Um,
Yeah, it's basically like just Pokemon with Tekken in it.
yeah, and he posted on his Facebook that he won it with his award, and it's really cool. But other than that, um, not really. I went to the rave, of course. That was always it's always fun, for
Mm,
sure.
cool, cool. I assume that water was provided in the rave or around the rave area at Otakon.
Yes, they had them at the perimeter of the room, plenty of water jugs, and uh, it's honestly a very good thing that most raves don't have. Um, and and again, uh, there's a lot of kids who go to Otakon and it's their first time partying like that, and they don't know what they're doing, and they get offered drugs. And just stay safe, folks. Test what you're using. Don't take anything that you don't if you don't know what's in it. Because definitely did see a few ambulances pull away from the convention center during the rave, and I just want to make sure that people stay safe and don't do anything stupid.
Yep, agreed, agreed. I've seen many a time where I'm sitting in my hotel room and I look over and I just see an ambulance just like outside of the convention center taking somebody in for taking drugs of any sort, and then just like shaking my head. It's like, yep, you are dumb.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is Baltimore, so and there are people who go there that are used to that scene. So, you
Oh,
know,
gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Any particular things that you think could have been better for Otakon this year? Like, what have they could have done better this year as to last year or whatnot?
Well, I didn't go in 2015. I did go to 2014. I felt like, well, first of all, this was my first Otakon where there wasn't a registration line for like normal registration. I believe in 2015 they started to actually mail you all your stuff like as soon as you registered. Well, not as soon as you registered, but right before the con.
Hmm.
And way better. There was no gigantic line all day long on both Friday and Saturday. Actually, I walked up to the registration line just to check it out. It was maybe a 10-minute line. So props to the Otakon staff for actually deciding to do that. I remember 2014 where it was basically LineCon, where the internet failed while they were doing registrations, and some people couldn't start enjoying the actual con until late night on Saturday, which is just horrible when you've been there since Friday. Um, so definitely props to that. They did an excellent job this time. Um, as far as what they could do better, I'm not really sure there is much they could do better at the Baltimore Convention Center. They've pretty much become masters of it in the past 17 years, and I definitely want to give them props for the better organization this year than in previous years. But I believe part of that is also the lower attendance and just that in general. Um, a few weird things I experienced was like they wouldn't allow bags in the rave, which probably for like drug reasons, but at the same time, if people want to get drugs in there, they're going to, and that isn't going to stop anyone. I had like a little fanny pack and had to go all the way back to my room to drop it off, and all it had in it was my phone. Like I even showed the guy, and he still wouldn't let me in. Um,
I would assume so that the other reason is just like security reasons in this post 9/11 era. And I would assume it's probably that per se.
yeah, I mean, I generally err on the side of let the security people do their job, but at the same time, when you see somebody in a cosplay where they have in their costume more space than my bag for hiding whatever they want, and they're letting those people in, it kind of just feels like it's a very arbitrary rule that doesn't really, you know, help one way or the other. Um, that's just my thoughts on it. But in general, you know, err on the side of caution, and when there's a bunch of newbies at a thing like that, you don't want to have any problems.
Right, definitely, definitely. Okay, okay. Out of curiosity, I'm not sure if he still is around the convention center, but there is this guy. I'm gonna call him a myth just for the sake of the story. But there is a guy who is around the convention center giving away ice cold water for $1. Is that guy still around?
Oh, for sure, he is an Otakon legend. Actually, there's more than one guy. Like,
Oh,
it's
really?
just
He,
that
he multiplied?
I mean, there's a lot of poor people in Baltimore, and you know, buying a case of water for $3 and then bringing it to the convention center and then selling that for $1 a pop, you're making like easily like $20 per case of water.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so so there's a lot of kind of I don't want to say panhandlers, but basically like small time kind of like stands where they're selling like various things like hot dogs. At night, a lot of people come out with rave toys like LED
Oh,
light
no
up
way, really?
things. Yeah, like they'll sell like those glove things with LEDs on them,
Oh, that's cool.
and things like that right there. And I mean, on Amazon, something like that is $5. They'll charge you like 20
Oh.
right in front of the convention center. Um, you know, people buy it. You know, that's how you make money. So,
Yeah, definitely. There's one thing
uh,
that we've all learned is that at conventions, people bring lots and lots of money for
yeah.
various things.
But I think the man, the legend, the guy you're talking about with the ice cold water, he always has the same corner, and he was there this year as usual. So maybe we'll see him in DC next year. I hope so. DC's only half an hour away.
It's true. It's true. Is he still ripped, by the way? Like
Oh yeah.
okay. Man, I'll remember from Otakon, like watching videos. This is like that guy in the front. It's just like, dude is like rip, and I remember it's like somebody made a mix tape or a mixed song of just him singing out that song. I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay. So in regards to what do you think that well, to be fair, like even though this is the last year it's going to be at this convention and moving to Washington D.C., what are the things you feel would carry over that they've done well this year at this convention?
Well, I'm assuming they're not going to go back to the old style of doing registrations, which is always a plus.
Yeah.
So that's excellent. Um, what I'm really hoping for in the new convention center is that there's more panel room, which I guess going to your last question of what they can do better, more room for panels. Because I never bother trying to make a panel at Otakon because I know that I'll get to the line and there'll be like a bunch of hardcore people that have been in line there for like hours getting into the panel, trying to get into the panel. So, and I would see the same thing this year. Like you would be walking by a bunch of panel rooms and there would just be people just sitting there right outside, not even doing anything at the convention except standing in line. So I think that they should like implement some kind of online system for people to like register for the panels or something, so that they could just walk in and not have to worry about getting their place in the room.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I
Okay.
don't expect that to actually happen, but the nerd inside me wants it to happen. So
If you're listening to Otakon, take this man's advice. Okay, okay. So, oh, excuse me, sorry guys, I had some food earlier. So in regards to your time there, what, and this often happens at any convention you go to. It may be as small as like, just a quick, funny moment between two fans, or like, this whole performance happening in front of you. Like, have you like ran to any like, moments at the convention where like you kind of look at it, it's like, yeah, that's typical of an anime convention. That's something that would happen here.
well, I guess a funny moment was getting stuck in the elevator.
Yes, the classic.
Not not for too long, but it was just funny to me because the people in the elevator were all like, we were all pre-gaming to go to the rave, right? Or like coming back from it or whatever. But I could tell that everybody in there was a little screwy, like somehow like on something.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly alcohol, but I don't know. And then there was just this one little girl, like probably like 18, 19, maybe even younger, who was just like, and I recognized her from a bunch of different cosplays, like, because she was one of those people that like kept changing and doing something else. And she was just in that elevator towards the back, and everything was going great for her that night, probably up until that moment. And we're just standing there, all of us drunk, and she's looking at us like she looked scared, kind of almost. I couldn't really tell because she was wearing like contacts or whatever, but but we were all loud and rambunctious, and it was getting hot and whatnot, and she was just like in that corner being like all like timid, and and then I just felt bad, so I just like talked to her and calmed her down, but like. We got out in only 15 minutes, but I actually was texting my roommate at that moment, like, "Hey, bring some water down," because we had like ice cold water in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked them to just like throw them in through the slot because it would only open like 2 inches or whatever, enough for a bottle of water.
That's cool. Wow.
But yeah, that was one of those very weird kind of situations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they got us out real quick. Props to Hyatt.
Yeah. I've come many a time to where elevators would stop, or we'll be stuck in there for about a good minute. So I know that feeling. Also note, what was I gonna say? Oh, disclaimer. We don't endorse drinking of any kind. If you do so, be smart. Just getting that out there before anybody else, you know. So all right. So
Yeah,
then,
and this is definitely the Otakon of Pokemon Go, though. Like in general,
oh,
I
that
took a
was
few
that was the thing.
screenshots. Yeah, I
That.
mean, I took a few screenshots of like what my screen, like what the game looked like, and all the Pokestops or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, all like 50 in the area had a lure on them. There was a
Nice.
lot of Pokemon Go cosplay. Just way more than usual. I know like people like to dress up as Pikachu, but usually there's like one or two, not like 20. There was also a really cool Executor cosplay. Uh, I guess this comes back to that thing you were asking me before about weird cosplay moments. Imagine a Princess Mononoke dragging an Executor, I guess a guy in the thing, by the scruff of the
Oh.
costume, and he can't see anything. There's literally like hundreds of people everywhere, and I was just amused by the whole situation. It was hilarious. And then they get to the point where we could finally take a picture, and she goes, "Extend, extend, extend," and he's literally like pushing this pole up through the top of the costume to get
Oh,
the
wow.
Executor, like the coconut and palm tree part of it to go
That's
up.
great. That's great. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, I definitely took a picture of that, so that's in the gallery.
Awesome. That's great. I cannot wait to see the gallery when it goes up. That's great. That meme's awesome. Um, cool. I guess my last question would be overall thoughts on this year's Otakon and what you look forward to for next year.
I'm definitely, I definitely just love Otakon in general. The spot is very unique. It's such a densely populated location, not only with people but with just attractions. Otakon was very unique in the way that it provided all these amazing backdrops for all those different cosplay. Like you've got historical World War II boats docked right in the bay. So like any like military style cosplay, you could like pose in front of that. Plus just the general kind of financial district of Baltimore. Um, and also I just have lots of memories there over the years. I think this was either my fifth or sixth Otakon, but I remember going there while I was still in college, getting a room with like six or seven other college kids and just like passing out anywhere. And that was like before 2010. So it was a while ago. Um, so it's definitely just weird seeing it go. But what I'm looking forward to seeing in DC is how nerds will take over DC and how what kind of impact are we really going to get in terms of perhaps maybe media attention? Like, are we going to see like politicians making comments about it,
Oh shit, you're
like on live
right.
TV? Um, there's definitely going to be cosplayers that are going to go to the National Mall. The National Mall is where the Washington Monument is, as well as like 5 or 6 different museums, and then Capitol Hill on the other side of it. So I imagine that's where all the cosplayers are going to go for pictures. I hope it's not going to be too hot next year, and that the picture, it comes out all right. But
Right, right.
I'm anticipating a lot of interesting storylines developing just because of that alone. Just because it is DC and yeah, and usually Otakon is in August. Good thing next year is not an election year because
Oh my god. That would
because can you
be
imagine?
insane. Holy shit. I didn't realize that. Man. Cosplayers and in like oh man, that would have been insane if that was to happen.
And I'm also like a little bit worried for law enforcement because you've got all this nonsense going on and you don't know if somebody's in costume or whatever because it used to be that at Otakon you could show up with an airsoft rifle and it wouldn't be a big deal as long as it was clearly marked as a fake weapon. But now they don't allow airsoft at Otakon at all.
hmm
And it used to be that you could buy that stuff in the dealer room, and now you can't.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
DC, it's probably going to be like way crazier in terms of security. Again, less than a mile from the White House. So it
That's a
should
good
definitely be
point.
interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm wondering man, I'm wondering if what they're gonna do about certain props then. I'm kind of wondering. because I know the airsoft thing isn't just a thing in Otakon. Like over here in California, like I believe the San Jose Convention, uh, I believe that has banned airsoft guns. I think I want to say, um, there was even talk at one point of like banning props altogether, for just in general. I think it was cosplay or not. So yeah, you're right. Security is gonna be extra tight. But I wonder if I think yeah, the first year might be yeah. I think it'll be crazy, crazy tight. It'll just be there might be some sort of new rules that they might put in place just for the first year. But I think over time, I think they'll start to realize like, oh, you're a bunch of nerds gonna be in costumes and you have props that are not real. Okay, cool, awesome. But yeah, I think the first year is gonna shock some people for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I cannot imagine them banning props entirely because a lot of cosplayers need the prop for the character to make any sense whatsoever.
Oh yeah,
And
I wouldn't doubt that they're not gonna ban props altogether. I'm just saying that they're gonna be pretty strict on what you can bring per se.
yeah, and depending on what it is and what character it is, some of those weapons might actually be real life weapons that have an airsoft equivalent, but obviously it's convention or whatever. Like specifically, like I did a Stargate cosplay, which I know isn't anime or whatever, but the P90 is the main weapon used in the show. So, and there's anime where they use real weapons as well. So
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. So yeah, for sure. The cosplayers gotta get creative when it comes to their weapon props. Either be a
they did they did still sell like live steel in the dealer room. Katanas, like broadswords, knives, and whatnot. But uh, the rule was, once you buy it, it goes into a box and you can't open it until you leave the premises.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, until then, we'll find out next year about Otakon and all that's happening when it moves to Washington D.C. Have they announced a date for it next year?
I believe that they have. Let's find out real quick.
Through the internet. While he is searching for that, I'd like to thank you everybody who has been enjoying this podcast. You can follow this podcast on iTunes and Stitcher under the Conover, which we host also on our website at missionstarpodcast.com in the podcast section. You can follow me personally on Twitter at the Effective Naruto, and the work that me and Henry do on our website at missionstarpodcast.com. Henry, where can they find you on the internet while you're looking that up?
I have a Instagram, akuhacks, or I don't really use Twitter anymore, to be honest.
You just abandoned social media altogether.
Not necessarily. I walk a thin rope between, like, a tightrope between being professionally presentable and then being like a raver anime nerd otaku gamer.
I see.
So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, no, that's cool.
and you can find Otakon next year, August 11th through the 13th in DC.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. And then also be on the lookout for our review of Otakon as well as a photo gallery. All thanks to Henry right here. So, with that being said, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back hopefully in the future. I have some plans for the Conover. It's just I got some stuff I'm working on. But yeah, definitely we'll be on the lookout for some more updates on our website at missionstarpodcast.com. And we will see you guys next time.